This is your chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You can hear with some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to the
Good evening,
show.
Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Conversations for the world, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. I'm Sabrina, and it's good to be back with you as we wind down. Yes, heading into the weekend. Yes, yes, yes. And I told you, we're still keeping our eyes and continuing the discussion on the Vision 2008. But do you know of the people that were behind it? A short and almost episode of Sabrina Speaks today. I promise we won't have a lot of this going on. I'm still between, but I'm just so happy that all of you joined me here today for this episode of Sabrina Speaks, where we're going to be opening a chapter of Cayman's history that too many have forgotten. Yes, and the one that holds the answers to the challenges we face right now. You have been with me for the past 2 days. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And for those who have just joined us, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is your first time to the platform. We welcome you. Please don't forget to like, share, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. But to just bring you a quick synopsis into exactly what I've been talking about, back in 1998 to 1999, hundreds of Caymanians came together to build Vision 2008. Yes. And that's a national blueprint that was created by people for the people. It was bold, it was unified, and it was forward thinking. And it had been, and had it been implemented, Cayman would be standing in a very different foundation as we speak today, some 25 years after the fact. Now, this episode is tribute to the named contributors who poured their expertise, time, and passion into that plan. Yes, the community voices as well who showed up at district meetings and spoke, and also to everyday Caymanians whose names may not have never even appeared in the document, but those ideas that shape the visions that matter. And today I'm going to share that document with you as I did last night, but I'll have it on the screen so that when I'm calling these names, some are still here with us and some are no longer. But I felt it was only important. That is the least we could have done here today, seeing that this conversation has pretty much taken over this platform for the past 2 episodes. Why not give them flowers today? So yes, we're diving into what they warned us about and what they hoped for and what we lost by not following the path they laid out. And more importantly, what we can still reclaim. But let me tell you, If you hear about Cayman's future, if you've ever wondered how we got here, or if you believe in the power of people that shape a nation, this is your episode, because I was blown over when I saw some of the memes on there. Yes, you may have heard this for the past 2 days, but it's important that I keep repeating it, because understanding our past is the first step to building a brighter future. Yes. The phone lines will be open, of course. 345-936-8255 to share your thoughts. There may be a name that will pop up on the screen that you will have fond memories of. Yes. So feel free to jump into the conversation with me later on as we get to know more about this Vision 2008 and the people, yes, who were also behind it. Now, please remember the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and our participants, is intended solely for general informational and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional, legal, medical, or financial advice. I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional regarding any specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented. Welcome, welcome. It's so good, like I said, to be back with you here on this Thursday afternoon. But as we dodged the showers earlier today and still are this evening because the roads are still slick, let's see exactly what this evening's weather forecast is all about, thanks to our friends over there at the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. Now, the weather synopsis calls for a lingering moisture and instability that will bring cloudy skies and intermittent rainfall as a series of low-level troughs traverse over the Northwest Caribbean. Moderate winds and seas are expected across the Cayman area today, and with a high-pressure system that drifts east into the Atlantic Ocean. Radar imagery shows isolated showers in and around Grand Cayman moving towards the northeast. The forecast for tonight calls for cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall near the mid-70s. Winds will be northeast 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. The forecast for tomorrow calls for mostly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of occasional showers. Temperatures will rise to the mid-80s and winds will be northeast 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. There'll be a low tide at 11:40 this evening, a high tide at 6:21 a.m., and another low tide at 12:42 tomorrow morning. Sun will set this evening at 6:37 and sun will rise tomorrow morning at 6:24. Now, the outlook is for continued cloudy skies as the moisture lingers across the islands with moderate winds and seas that are expected through Saturday. There we go. That concludes this evening's weather forecast. And we want to thank our forecasters over there at the Cayman Islands National Weather Service for keeping us in the know so that we can definitely plan our movements around. There we go. Now let's take a look at what's making our news this afternoon right here on Sabrina Speaks. Yes. Now, showers throughout the entire day. The groundbreaking ceremony for phase 2 of the George Dixon Park development went ahead in East End earlier this afternoon. Yes, the event drew a small crowd, including Deputy Premier Honorable Gary Ruddy, East End Member of Parliament, the Honorable Isaac Rankin, and Member for Red Bay, Mr. Roy Tatum, along with project representatives, government agencies, and several East End residents were also in attendance. Now, this falls under a ministry priority number 4 that is promoting an active and healthy lifestyle for all, and official says that this expansion marks another step in enhancing community space for families and young people in the district. I want to say congratulations for what I'm seeing based on the boards. Yes, I'm looking forward to the grand opening of this new space in East End, and East Enders, you've got to be proud. Congratulations to all involved in making this happening. And keeping it in local news, yes, police have arrested a 29-year-old Georgetown man in connection with a series of burglaries that occurred early Tuesday, the 24th of March. Now, officers responded to a break-in on Mary Street before 2 a.m., where a glass door had been smashed and cash and a hair clipper had been stolen. CCTV footage helped identify the suspect, and 2 additional burglaries were reported later that day. The man was located and taken into custody and is being investigated for these and other recent incidents in the area. Police are urging anyone for information to contact the RCIPS or submit anonymous tips through Crime Stoppers. In other news today, Public Health is urging returning university students to take advantage of a free meningitis vaccination clinic. Now, that takes place this Saturday, March 28th from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. at the Public Health Clinic on Smith Road Medical Center. The clinic is specifically for students who did not receive their meningitis vaccine before leaving for university and are now home for spring break. Officials advise students to bring their immunization records if available. Anyone recently returning from the United Kingdom who feels unwell is encouraged to seek immediate medical attention, especially if experience fever, severe headache, stiff neck, or unusual drowsiness. And drivers in Little Cayman will have 2 opportunities next month to access vehicle licensing services without traveling to Cayman Brac or Grand Cayman. The Department of Vehicle and Driver's License will be on Little Cayman on Thursday, April 2nd, and again on Thursday, April 16th, operating from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the Little Cayman District Office. Now, residents are encouraged to take advantage of the visit to complete renewals, registration, and other licensing needs. Let's turn our attention into international news that is making headlines today. Global aviation experts warn that prolonged Middle East conflict could significantly reshape the way airlines travel the world. Yes. 1 second for me. Airlines worldwide are already rerouting long-haul flights to avoid restricted airspace, adding hours to travel times and sharply increasing fuel costs. Major hubs like Dubai, Doha, and Abu Dhabi have faced temporary shutdowns, triggering widespread delays and cancellations. Now, industry analysts say that continued instability may push fares higher, reduce capacity, and force airlines to redraw global flight paths for months to come. We will keep you updated with all of this information because I know we like to travel, and it will be wise, even for those who have planned cruise, especially for Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. They have had at least 20 shifts in their schedule. So if you had a cruise booked with Royal Caribbean, you want to pay close attention to that just in case you may have been impacted. In other international news, U.S. President Donald Trump has extended the pause on striking Iran power plants by 10 additional days, pushing the deadline to April 6th, following what he says was a direct request from the Iranian government. In a Truth Social post, the president said, talks are ongoing and progressing well, despite conflicting reports from Tehran. The pause is part of ongoing negotiations aimed at de-escalating the conflict that began in late February. Now, the White House says the extension gives both sides more time to pursue a potential agreement. And the International Olympic Committee has announced a major policy change that will limit women's category at the Olympic Games to biological females only, beginning with the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. Now, under the new rules, athletes must undergo a one-time SRY gene screening to confirm eligibility. IOC President Christy Coventry says that the policy is based on scientific evidence and is intended to protect fairness, safety, and integrity in women's sports. The decision also excludes most transgender women and some athletes from difference in sex development from competing in female events. New OECD projections warn that inflations across the G20 could reach 4%, driven largely by soaring global energy prices linked to the ongoing Middle East conflict. Now, the report notes that current forecasts assumes energy prices will gradually decline over the coming months. However, analysts caution that inflation could rise even higher if disruptions to oil and gas shipments persist or worsen. The OECD says prolonged instability in energy markets remains the biggest risk to global price pressures. And closing out today's news headlines right here on Sabrina Speaks, I always like to do my best to leave you with a good feeling story. Here's a remarkable one. From janitor to doctor at Yale. Yes, a remarkable full circle moment is making headlines in the United States as 32-year-old Shay Taylor Allen returns to the very hospital she was born and once worked as a janitor. Now, as a newly matched medical doctor, Taylor Allen, a Howard University medical student, learned she had secured her first choice residency at Yale of Medicine, the same institution where she cleaned floors at age 18. She says she could never, ever imagine coming back as a doctor serving her community. Now, her emotional match day reaction has gone viral, inspiring thousands. Now, that concludes this evening news, updates, headlines, local and regional, right here on Sabrina Speaks. It's good to have you join me here this evening. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming in and being with me this evening. Yes, I got off to an early start. Happy birthday to all of those persons who are celebrating birthdays. And if you're out there on the roads, please be careful. It's very, very slick, and we don't want any issues at all. But for all of you who are celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday, anniversaries. Happy anniversary as well from all of us here on the Sabrina Speaks family. And for those of you who are actually mourning the loss of a loved one, our thoughts, prayers, and sympathies are with you as you navigate these times. Yes, Connie Bonnie is in the house. Good evening to you, my love. How are you? Hey, Alfred Real, good evening to you as well. Yes, Damian Henry is here joining me this evening. Good evening, all. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. So right. Yes, I think we all need that now at this time, everything that we're going through. Marshall as well. Good evening, my love. How is it where you are? Still cold? Are you feeling those springtime temperatures? Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much. 2666. Hi, Miss Sabrina, wishing you well and your future endeavors. You are so smart. Have a pleasant evening. So kind of you. Thank you so much. I do my best. I make sure to show up and make sure that I give you all the latest information, keeping you all up to date, but it does take time. Oh, yes, it surely does. It takes time, and definitely you got to put it in so that you can definitely share the love right here. I just need to remind you of some things that are happening this weekend, because I know with everything that's going on, we got to keep you guys in the loop. And for all of you, I don't want you to miss anything because of the weekend. You got that, remember, public auction that's going on. And then we got the memorial service for Colin Ormule, or CID detective. Oh, my friend, my dear friend. Yeah. But this weekend, remember now, guys, the CBC public auction of undeclared and seized goods is this Saturday from 10 until 2 at the 42 Owen Roberts Drive in Georgetown. So make sure if you want to go out there and get some stuff, please be reminded that once you pay for your goods, you're expected to take them, and there's no return policy. And it's either cash or credit card approved way of making payment. So you can't hold until Monday. It's let's go. You pay now and you leave. That's how this is going to go. So please remember that this takes place this Saturday. All right. And also the memorial service for Colin or a Mule that's taking place on Saturday as well at 11 a.m. And that's at the Red Bay Church of God Holiness, Lord's Way off Selkirk Drive. Okay. So your last respects, we knew that he was laid to rest in his home country. And this is a memorial service for his friends and family, co-workers, and all here on this in the Cayman Islands to attend this weekend. Also, the Cayman Islands Summer Internship Program, remember to apply for that. The deadline is the 31st of this month. Time is definitely winding down quite quickly. So please, 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 all of you persons, young people who are overseas and want something to do for the summer, you got a deadline if you have an interest to apply for this. And your deadline is the 31st of March. And remember, Proud of Them Youth Awards are back, and they're looking for you to nominate a young man or woman who you feel are doing exceptional work and you want to nominate them. Please go on to the youthservices.ky and nominate a young person. These are those kids that you see on those billboards throughout Cayman and Cayman-Brac, all three islands. If you are inclined to highlight a young man or woman, please, this is the website for you to go and nominate them. So that's what's up in our community calendar and gentle reminders of what's happening. Like I said, congratulations, Honorable Isaac, and to the people of the Eastern District. You guys are going to have a beautiful, beautiful space out there. Time to come. Yes, this was, I'm happy Sandra pulled me out. We were there and we drove out to East End, to George Dixon Park. And this is phase 2 of the development. And from what I'm seeing, it's going to be a covered pickleball court. And there was history shared behind that space in regards to those who grew up in East End. There was a footpath there that was going up to Miss Wella house across from the Heritage Field. And they didn't have no steps there. I saw steps today when I was there. We literally climbed rocks to go up there. And I visited East End a lot, Miss Wella, also on John McLean Drive. That was before the road was cut. I remember my days as a child visiting there with my grandparents. And yeah, I used to visit there a lot. Miss Emmy, Emmy and all of them. Yep. Esther and Lida. Yeah, you'd be surprised what connects I have to East End. Honorable Minister Isaac Rankin. So yes, I take the invitation to come up and definitely utilize this new space, as it is ministry priority number 4, promoting an healthy, active and healthy lifestyle for all there in East End. Congratulations. They're expecting it to take maybe 9-10 months, weather permitting. So we're looking out for the ribbon cutting very soon. Yes. Well, I wanted to, for those of you just joining us, this is going to be a shortened episode of Sabrina Speaks. Sorry about that. I'm still on the fence. So if you see me go over, it's not because I've probably made a decision while we're here with you. The phone lines are wide open this evening, 345-936-8255. Yes. And what we're talking about this evening is giving and putting a spotlight on the persons who actually started to, I want to dedicate this episode and to name the contributors of these roundtable discussions, the planning team and all that sort of stuff. And I'm quite sure there are thousands of unnamed individuals who contributed to this document. And here we were for the past 2 episodes, going through it line by line. I actually found the PDF document. I shared it in a post last night on the Sabrina Turner Community Activist page, and there's the link there that you can click on it and you can follow along. I will put it up here on the screen today so you can have the pleasure. Maybe there are some names that you will identify as well. Yes, because we know, again, for a matter of context, that the Caymanian participation going back from Mr. Truman's days, the Honorable McKeever Bush days, bringing this forward, Miss Joy Basdeo, but there are so much other people in this document that was named. So I'm going to be sharing my screen with you, And you can see this actual document that I have here on the screen. And I shared the link yesterday in a post that I did. And it is amazing. Again, this Vision 2008 wasn't a government manifesto. No, it wasn't even a political campaign. It wasn't a consultant's report either. It was the people's plan, a 10-year national strategic blueprint that built on the beliefs that Cayman could continue to develop in harmony. And if we had followed these principles of balance, growth, and integrity policy, okay? Now, what we are seeing is that it began in 1998, 1999. And you can see I will be scrolling through here with you with this actual document, because I know a lot of you probably didn't see it. A lot of you didn't see it. But this began back in March of 1998, with visioning meetings involving at that time Executive Council, which is now called Cabinet. And we weren't Parliament then. We were known as the Legislative Assembly. So yes, you had members of the Legislative Assembly as well there. And importantly, district meetings in every district across all 3 islands. And from the member planning team was appointed, and they met for 3 days to craft the beliefs and the vision statements and all of that sort of stuff. And it brought it into this document. And even though it's small here, like I said, I shared the link with you all yesterday. And I thought that was very important for me to share so that you could have this capsule, because the ask has been loud. The ask of the Caymanian people today has been loud. And they're asking for our members of government to look at this. And there are some names that are in this document that are still right now working with this administration that I was a little floored were actually there. And when you look at the whole 10-year strategic plan is based on the belief that Cayman Islands can continue to develop in harmony and prosperity if the people, if we implement the recommendations of Vision 2008. And at the end of the day, it is where we are as the development. So for our nation. So this is what the document looks like. We see where the executive director for Vision 2008 was Miss Joy Basdeo, she's Justice of the Peace. And this document is dated the 7th of April of 1999. And when you look at the whole outcome, and the first planning session was on 3rd to the 5th of June, 1998. And it has here loud and clear, we believe that in God and traditional Christian values, that all people are created with equal worth and are entitled to basic human rights, that all people have a responsibility to continue to the good of the community, and that the healthy, natural, and built environment and a balance between two is essential for social, economic, and political well-being and prosperity. And look, said in this document, in freedom of speech. So kind of makes you wonder, why have we just capitulated? Why have we just, we're scared? I continue, that respect of Caymanian and non-Caymanian culture is important for social harmony. In the importance of a strong family unit, that people are responsible and accountable for their own actions, in striving towards a society that is free from crime and drug abuse, in a lifelong education for everyone, which embraces social and life skills. And you have the vision statement here as well. God-fearing. Look at what tops the list on page 5. God-fearing. Catering to community-based mutual respect for all individuals and their basic human rights. So you can see where this is tying all in with our Constitution. So you're seeing where little bits and pieces, even in this, reflects our Constitution. And It sets out the objectives, the parameters that are here. And I encourage you all to actually go and click on the link so that you will see exactly what I'm talking for. And you can read this through at your own time and pace as well. But I wanted this afternoon to, you see the strategies here, to highlight some of the persons and all of the persons actually whose names are actually a part of this document. And for those of you just joining us, welcome. Good afternoon. Here we are. I know that some of you all will recognize some of the names that are here on the screen. And this is what we're doing today. We are giving these people their flowers. And some of the names, some persons that were actively involved in this were at the time civil servants that will not be, I guess you'd call them ex officios, that their names would not necessarily be here. Some are no longer with us in the flesh, but they contributed to this document. And that's why this episode is Vision 2008, the people who tried to save us. Yes. And some of those people, you see where the planning team members, and excuse me if I've slaughtered some of these names, is Mr. Heber Arch. We have Terry Brainbridge, Osborne Bodden, J.C. Colehan, Annie Mitten-Clark, Camille Davy. We got Ellison Downs, Allison Ebanks, Carson Ebanks, Darlene Ebanks, Gary Ebanks, Rhonda Edie, David Foster, Lawrence Fraser, Iva Gray, Victor Green, Miss Lorna Hampson, John Harding, Rhonda Kelly, Lisa Hurlston, Miss Deborah Kernel, Melanie McLaughlin, Nadine McLean. We got Olive Miller, Cheryl Miller, the late Kirkland Nixon, Chris Rose, Kenny Ryan, Susie Soto, and Peter Tompkins. Now, these were all of the planning team members, as you've seen here laid out on the screen. But look at all the round table leaders. These were then like heading up different sections of this plan that came together. Now, I can assure you, back in the days, these people were so happy to contribute to charting our life moving forward that the first question, I'm quite sure, did not come out of their mouth. What is the stipend? Yeah. What is the fee? Because they were more interested at that time in being a part of what is now history that has come to reality in 2026. And all of these persons contributed to this document. Yes. So you got all the different sections for crime and drugs, youth, education, family, culture, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman leaders that were there as well. You got the open and accountable government section. You had representatives or leaders from infrastructure, growth management, environment, information technology, economy, health, and contingency planning and immigration as well. And we see where for immigration, those days, that Patrick Schmid and Denise Tibbetts were the two roundtable leaders. When you're looking at crime and drugs, you had Kathy Delapena and Terry Delaney were in that. And then when it came to our youth, Patrice Donalds and Ramona Rich, you got the likes for education. Is it Jahira Kelly and Elizabeth Thompson? Then you had Miss Beverly Banks and Kathy Wagner, the late Kathy Wagner. Those two ladies head up the roundtable leaders for family. And then you had those persons who were representing culture, Miss Esme Bodden and Marcia Matu. Then you got for Cayman Brac, Mark Calhoun and Mark Tibbetts. For Little Cayman, representatives were Janet Watler and Corey McCoy. And guess what? For open and accountable government, Pilar Bush Gordon and Clarence Bothwell headed up those teams. Then we had an infrastructure for our works, Kenneth Ebanks and Finley Joseph. And then we had growth management, Nick Popovich. And we had for environment, Phil Bush and Art Schininder. Then you got for information technology, David Arch and Nick Robson. And for economy, Will Panu and Dax Bazdeo. Well, look at that. Will Panu, who is heading up the Chamber of Commerce, and Dax Bazdeo is now the chief officer for financial services. So you can see where these two have aligned even 25 years after the fact, and they are still aligned with the industry of economy. Yes. And look for who we're heading up for health. Miss Jackie Smith and Mark Fry. We know Miss Jackie Smith is Dr. Steve Tomlinson's sister, and she's still somewhat into the medical area. And then you got contingency planning, Christine Maltman and Chuck Gordon, and immigration, as I said before, Patrick Schmidt and Denise Tibbetts. So these were all individuals who headed up. So your roundtable leaders now broken up into all of these sections that then later on went to create pillars. They then had another team of individual under them, but these names under roundtable leaders would have been the leaders for each pillar, each infrastructure, each subheading then. And then they would report back. They would be the team leaders, exactly what it says. And then they will go and they'll do the research and they will come back. So you can only imagine exactly how this went back then in 1998, 1999. And you could see now where you had Ms. Joy Bazdeo as the executive director, Ms. Hyacinth Connolly, strategic planning facilitator, Desmond McConvey, assistant facilitator, Mr. David Archbold for information and technology advisor. And then you had Judith Gates, who was a training facilitator, Patricia Skolcomb, executive assistant, Felicia Deslanes. Look at that. Look at Felicia. Look at you. She was a student intern there and then. And Julia Jones was public relations coordinator for GIS back then. Ladies and gentlemen, I thought it was important for me to share this with you all today, because this does not even begin to tap in to the 250 odd people that has been declared based on all of the research that I have done in the past, let's say 3-4 days, because there are a lot of persons who were very instrumental in this, whose names are not here. And you would understand why, because you had to have a core team in order to get it going, right? So this is the core team, but this does not represent everyone who had a say. Who had a say is reflected in the entire document, which then I want to hope that you all will go through. It's 111 pages long, and it's broken down into different phases, and you can see where drugs and crime starts. And then the very last 116 is immigration. It will go into that and let you know exactly what they envisaged for us. Now, tomorrow is open mic. And based on your, I love to turn the mic. I love to turn the platform over to you all. Let's go to 116, 111. I would really love to hear from you, your feedback, because I thank you for all that you have contributed so far for this entire week, for all that we have shared here. And it has opened up a lot of your eyes to this document that many people says they were looking for quite some time. And I am hoping that with me sharing and I'm trying to go to the immigration section, so bear with me. It's not that I'm expecting you all to read this. Hence, I took the opportunity to share it with you last night. There we go. Yeah. So I'm hoping we will create a comprehensive immigration policy that protects Caymanians and gives security to long-term residents to ensure that the prioritization of the immigration policy within the government policy framework, and that such policies will be linked with the overall growth management strategy. So do you realize where they were actually trying to merge immigration reform with the growth strategy? Something we have heard Danny Warren speak here over and over and over again. Yes. And then you would see where their action steps is, and this is on page 111. It'll show you the entire blueprint for how they were going to deal and handle with immigration here. And this is going back, my friends, from 1998 to 1999. So this document in itself, which I'm going to be very honest with you, I have not gone through the immigration section line by line, but that can't say that I can't do this for you to go through this, to do a comparison, knowing that we have our new phase 1 or part 1 of the immigration reform that's set to go in effect as of the 2nd of April. And with all of the discussions surrounding immigration and immigration reform and protecting our identity and making sure that we can slow down exactly how Caymanian citizenship is able to be acquired, it would be very interesting to just go through this section line by line in another episode, highlighting the different things and looking at where we are today. So I just wanted to take this time and to just highlight, for the sake of all of those individuals who may have actually identified some of the names that we have called, and be able to appreciate that these persons gave so much of their time that we can say thank you to them. Because more and more that we look at this document and do a comparison 25 years after the fact, we have to say we were actually heading in the right direction. And for whatever happened, that it didn't go forward. And we have heard feedback that it's political will and not one group wanting to say, well, this one started under this administration, whatever else. If we ever needed something to compare to see, okay, we got this one wrong, this is living proof. Just with this piece of document, 25 years old, that we do have something compared, because these people were speaking back then, trying to predict what we would look like for 2008. Can you imagine? They were predicting. And here we are right now, because they talked and they told us to protect the environment, especially the central mangrove wetlands. They also told us to manage growth strategically. Yes. And to diversify the economy. They warned us about strengthening social protection of young children, youth, and the elderly, and also to invest in education and youth development. All of these things were actually being said. And to use technology. Can you imagine back in 99, they were encouraging us to use technology to empower, not divide communities. Yes. And one of the key things is to build a national identity rooted in Caymanian values. They told us all of this in 1999 in this document. And here we are in 2026, still debating the same issues, still reacting instead of planning. Literally, we're still patching up instead of building. And imagine, just imagine where we would be today if everyone and every government since 1999 had possibly simply updated it or just followed the plan the people created. Just imagine. You may say, well, what's the big thing? Why are we talking about it now? Well, I wanted to use this shortened episode of Sabrina Speaks this evening to say thank you to all of these people. All of these people that are named here, and all of the people who knew back then that they showed up to events. They contributed by showing up to town hall meetings, not virtual town hall meetings. They took time out of their schedule to go to the district meetings. Yes, because more and more we are realizing that Cayman, the Cayman Islands, is at another, we're at another crossroad. And because issues Vision 2008, this document, identified like housing, environment, education, youth, national identity, economic diversification, are not just relevant. We are finding that it's at a point where it's a matter of urgency. They are urgent. And what we're seeing is that because the people who participated in this Vision 2008, they deserve to know that their work was not in vain. Many have passed on. Many are no longer with us. You can see it here for yourself, but there are a lot that are still with us. And because maybe, just maybe, it's time to resurrect the spirit of that process and answer the calls, the likes of Siobhan, Miss Anita, and all of those who are actually saying, you know, I remember this, but are not commenting or not calling, but you whisper, that woman onto something. I can't believe all of these things were talked about there and then. We should be ashamed of ourselves. No, we're not looking back. We're going to look forward. We're really going to look forward and say, you know what? Let's pull all of this foolishness behind us. Let's really look at this document because we're not starting blind. We have a foundation to go by. Look at the spirit of the process, not the document itself, not the politics that may have delayed it or not have it implemented at all, and not the bureau. For God's sake, don't kill it with bureaucracy, because that would be a total disservice to everyone moving forward. Don't. But look at it. Look at the spirit behind this document. The spirit of it being community-driven planning, national unity, long-term thinking, and a document where we can honestly, genuinely say Caymanian-led, Caymanian future. And if we could do it back in 1998, 1999, I feel with every fiber of my being, we can do it again. Good evening, caller. You're live on Sabrina Speaks. What's on your mind?
Good evening, Sabrina. You said that your show was going to be short here,
Yes.
but you haven't said how long it was going to be
It was
short.
only
See,
for
some
an
people
hour.
are
I have a commitment, that's
okay.
why.
Okay, actually, yeah, because I joined you a little late, I probably missed that.
Yeah.
I was going to tease you and say, well, it's like the other war which is going on right now. People are asking when is it going to end?
Yeah, what a mess.
But you see that, yeah. I mean, I don't mean to make light of it,
No, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. What am I going to do? Because those wars like Vietnam, which went on for 3-4 years, nobody was saying when is it going to end. They just fought and say until we win. So, But modern warfare, I suppose, if you are spending $2 billion a day, you can't do that forever. But I was I mean, a few memories came to me when you were reading that list. Some of the people there are people I worked with on different government projects. when I just came to Cayman in 2003, many of them had been in Cayman before I came, and some people, of course, are Caymanian. Some of the names there you read: Patricia Slocum. Patricia Slocum is one of the first people I worked with when I came in Cayman. She was, I think, in the private sector and a prominent person in the community. But she had just left Cayman, then was back in Alabama, and she was engaged then by the government together with somebody else to come and help me write the Employment Law 2004.
She
And the
was an
reason
executive assistant. She was under the team. Yeah. I guess she would be like an ex officio almost.
Yes, she was almost like an ex officio, but I imagine one of the reasons they engaged her for that, like she was also like in business. So like she had quite a good knowledge regarding that. And she worked together with another lawyer who's from Alabama, who eventually we became almost friends, because soon after we finished work on that, Ivan came. And I remember that after Ivan came and we had sheltered in Anderson Square, where, I used to work. And then when I walked back home to those apartments close to Kirk Supermarket, Springfield and Summerfield.
Down Court
and
Road.
When I walked there, Court Road, yeah. So I went to my place there. And I remember my family then hadn't joined me. I picked up the phone to see if it was working, and it worked. I called the BVI, and then when I put it down, a little after that, I got a call, and I got a call from this other guy who had worked with Patricia on the employment law, and he just was calling me to find out, how are you doing, mate? I mean, I just met these guys for about 4 days or so, and we worked on that. So it's good to see really that people had vision from back then. And I also worked with Joy Basdale, because Joy Basdale then was permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education together with Roy Borden, who was minister then. So I grew to admire Joy Basdale practically instantly. I mean, she was so smart, so confident, so, some people who you just meet and you admire them in every way possible, professionally and otherwise, as your bosses. She was one, and we worked on the employment law, me, her, Patricia Slocum, and the other consultant, and together with Walling Whitaker, who was then Director of Employment Relations. It was really, really great. I remember when Mr. Borden met me for the first time, they said, I was introduced to say, well, this is the person who will be working on your employment law. And then he turned to me in his, I'll say, it's an inimitable style. He said, what? This is going to be a baptism of fire, because this legislation is very controversial. I remember that. This was 2003, 2004. The other person there, David Archibald. David Archibald also came to Cayman before me. He was always in computers, and then later on became managing director of ICT, Information and Communication and Technology Authority. But even before that, he is the one who developed for us the legislative drafting template. You know, the way in which old laws were written, like you had the margin or note in the margin. Now, that was not always easy to do, although you could do it on the computer, but he developed a template where you could practically type what is your marginal note at the center of the page, and then you just click on it and it jumps into the margin. That hadn't been done anywhere before. At that time, it was really, really, really innovative. And I believe that he helped another island or two also to be able to do that. Of course, since then we have moved, but I think that system was used in legislative drafting for something like 20 years. So, I mean, then let me end on this one, since you've got a short show. The David Archibald also, we wrote the data protection law for Cayman. This is now much later. We were on a committee where there were a lot of people at the beginning, but finally it came down to 4 or 5 people. It was me, David Archibald, Jan Liebers,
Uh-huh.
a very smart, knowledgeable guy on information stuff who later on was deputy ombudsman, but I think he's retired now, as well as Peter Broadhurst. Peter Broadhurst of Broadhurst Barristers. I mean, we met for more than a year weekly, just taking breaks over Christmas or Easter and so forth to write all that. And it's just good to see that these people really had a vision then. And I think the challenge now is for people to say, well, are you honoring the legacy of these people, some of whom are out there? Like Pedley, Dr. Philip Pedley, now late, I also had a chance to meet him. Because when we started working on the freedom of information law with Tim Hubble, O.C. Connor, and a number of other people, those are some of the people I work with. I was just filled with a little bit with nostalgia. I thought, let me call in and sort of chime in on some of this.
That's what I did. That's what I wanted to do in this episode, because we had covered this document for the past 2 days, and I realized it was taking people back. But the faces, the names behind the actual document, I was so happy when I actually found the document that I could see the names there, and I felt it was only fitting for me to do this in honor of them today, and for those who are not mentioned in the document with their names, but know that they were a part of it. So you got the memo. You got it.
Those people understand the phrase. He founded it upon the seas more than anybody else.
Correct.
Okay, thanks very much, Sabrina.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your contribution.
Bye-bye.
Have a good evening.
Yes,
Tomorrow's open
bye-bye.
mic, so you can call back. You can call back.
Okay, very well. Thanks very much. Thank you for that.
Sure. Thanks. Yes, good evening. And I'm just so happy that people are realizing what I'm doing, and exactly what Mr. Belika said. It's nostalgic. And that is why we had like the real Alfred coming out and reading us his poem. And that too took us back. It actually felt so soothing to people, because I'm still getting feedback from that. So yes to Alfred. Well received. I'm still getting feedback on your poem that you shared with us, and thank you again for that. And for all of the people who are a part of this planning teams, the roundtable leaders that we've outlined here, and the ex officios that is on page 10 of this Vision 2008 team, which would be like we said, the civil servants then. Ms. Joy Basdeo, Ms. Hyson Connolly, Desmond McConvey, David Archbold, Judith Gates, Patricia Slocum, Felicia Deslandes. Oh, look at you. I keep going there because I'm just looking at the fact that she was a student intern at that time. And Julia Jones, and she's still with government today. And amongst all of these other persons here, that you can go on the link, go on my Facebook page, and you will see the post that I did yesterday. And the link is there that you can download this for yourself as well. Or you can just Google Vision 2008 Cayman Islands, and it'll come up right there for you to actually download yourself and read at your convenience. Because if the government is going to prove that they're listening to you and your voice really matters, and they're going to look at revisiting this and enshrining that, use this as a foundation moving forward. Let me just say one thing today. To every individual listening, but I'm going to go to the future, the young people. You are not too young to shape this country, And as cliche as it sounds, your voice matters. Your ideas as well. And your future matter. And the people of Vision 2008 were not superhuman. We see a summer intern, Felicia, who she may have been your age now, if not younger. But look at her today. She's still a civil servant. But what I need you to know is that the people from back then were not superhuman. They were not perfect. And they were not all experts. But one thing is resounding with these people. They were simply willing to show up, willing to speak up, and willing to dream. And guess what we need? We need that again in our country from our leaders. from every single person that says they have Cayman at heart. That's not just these people. That's also these people. And these people are the civil servants back then. That's everyone investing. Yes. Miss Lucille, good evening to you, my love. And blessings to you as well. Andrew, the foundation template has been set. How well has this been instituted into present day framework? And that's what we're asking now. There's more than one reason in one that I have put it into public circulation. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to go through line by line for what was said about immigration. And because tomorrow is open mic, not that I'm going to inundate you guys with that, but we know the importance of that. It may not necessarily change anything for something that's already passed and debated and passed on the floor of Parliament, but because there are other amendments that was stated on the floor that will be coming, I'm hoping that they too themselves would pick up this document and see what was said 25 years ago and align it with moving us forward. Wake up. I feel really sad about the whole outcome, but thank you. Sad can be turned into happy smiles because we have the power to hold our leaders accountable. We have the power. And just how these people came together, that can happen again. But because I have a commitment this evening, and I promise you there will not be a lot of these that I take away from you and your time, I make that a promise to you. I have to end today's show, but I had to give these people their flowers today. And what I want to leave each of you with is that to every person named in 2008, those who are still here, those who have gone, and those who are not shown in this document, to every person who attended every meeting, who took the time to fill out a survey and did it honestly, to every person who wrote a letter, to every person who believed Cayman could plan its own future, from all of us, thank you. Your work still speaks. Your vision still guides. Your courage still inspires. And today, we honor you. Because Cayman may not have followed the blueprint, but the blueprint still exists. And the blueprint still matters. Yes, I want to thank you for joining me. Please forgive me. But this has been another episode of Sabrina Speaks, and it has been my pleasure bringing you this episode and saying thank you for those who tried to save us. Until tomorrow evening for open mic, I wish you a good evening. Please be safe on the roads. God bless. Stay safe. Love you lots. Good night. That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.